Question 11. Which molecule contains magnesium? Chlorophyll, fat, glucose, or starch? Well, if we think about plant nutrition, we get a little bit of information about magnesium. If a plant is deficient in magnesium, then it is not a proper green color, is it? Because it can't make chlorophyll. So the molecule that contains magnesium is chlorophyll. Question 12. In which part of the body of a mammal does mechanical digestion occur? Mechanical digestion, all about the breaking down of pieces of food into smaller pieces of food, no chemical change. The biggest culprit for this is your teeth, of course, and the teeth are found in the mouth. So mechanical digestion is not occurring in the gallbladder or the liver or the pancreas, it is occurring in the mouth. Question 13. During growth, potato plants produce flowers and underground storage organs called tubers. During this time, which parts of the plant act as sources and sinks for translocation? Okay, so a source is where photosynthesis is occurring. A sink is a storage or use site. Okay, somewhere where those products of photosynthesis are either being stored or used. So if we think about where does photosynthesis occur? Photosynthesis occurring in the leaves. So these guys are our source. Potato tubers are very much a storage organ, very good for us. Okay, so those guys are a sink. And flowers, also, they're not photosynthesizing. Okay, they're being, using these products of photosynthesis to grow the flower. Okay, so they also act as a sink. So we have sink, source, sink, and the answer that matches that is B. Flowers are a sink, leaves are a source, potato tubers are a sink, while the plant is actively growing. Question 14. What is an advantage of a double circulatory system in mammals? Blood can flow down the body on the left and up the body on the right. I don't think so, because if that were true, then our right foot would never get any blood. Blood can flow more slowly along the circulatory system. No, we don't want it to be flowing slowly. We want that blood to be efficiently getting to our tissues. Blood pressure stays the same throughout the circulatory system. Absolutely not. We don't want the same pressure in our lungs and in our aorta, for example. We want high pressure blood in that aorta, and we want lower pressure blood in the lungs, and our veins have even lower pressure. So definitely not the same pressure throughout. Oxygenated and deoxygenated blood are kept separate. Yes, they are, and that is a definite advantage because then it's more efficient. Oxygenated blood can go off to the tissues and give up its oxygen and collect the waste product, and can come back separately as deoxygenated blood, ready to head to the lungs and be reoxygenated. So 14 is most definitely D. 15. The body has defenses to protect itself from diseases. What is a mechanical barrier to diseases? Okay, so something that stands in the way of those pathogens. So our choices are hairs in the nose, plasma, stomach acid, and white blood cells. Well, plasma is not involved. Stomach acid, well, that's a chemical, it's not a mechanical thing. White blood cells, they are cellular. So, mechanical thing standing there in the way, hairs in the nose. Actually stops things entering the body. Okay, so that first line of defense is stopping the pathogens from even getting into the body. It's that mechanical defense, and it is hairs and nose in this instance. What comes next? From diseases to exercise. So during exercise, receptors detect a change in the blood and cause the breathing rate to increase. What change do the receptors detect, and where are they found in the body? So during exercise, remember now we have lots of respiration. And at the beginning of exercise, that would be aerobic respiration. And aerobic respiration is giving off CO2. So CO2 is increasing. So the receptors are detecting an increase in carbon dioxide. Where are those receptors sited? Are they sited in the brain or in the intercostal muscles? Now, intercostal muscles are there in between the ribs. No, not a chance. Okay, control happening here in the brain. So the change detected is an increase in carbon dioxide, and the site of that detection is the brain. We're going to change the activity of the intercostal muscles, because that's how we're going to change that breathing rate, but it is not where the change is detected. It's detected in the brain. Question 17. An experiment is set up to investigate the uptake of oxygen by germinating seeds. So we've got a whole big setup here, and we need to take the time to make sure that we understand what's going on. So we've got the beakers with colored water. Okay, on the left-hand side, we've got germinating seeds, and they're in a water bath at 25 degrees C. On the right-hand side, we've got dead seeds that are rinsed in antiseptic, so there's nothing living here. Okay, we've got soda lime absorbing carbon dioxide in both sides. So in this case, there's not going to be any output of carbon dioxide affecting any gas level. Okay, so the only thing we're looking at is uptake of oxygen. Now, germinating seeds, again, we are talking about respiration. So we're going to be using oxygen. But it's the living seeds that are going to be using oxygen. So what's going to happen to the levels of colored water at X and Y? Well, at Y, nothing's going to happen because the seeds are there and it's been rinsed in antiseptic. There's not even bacteria in there. Okay, nothing's going to happen. So it's all about what happens on the other side with the living seeds. Now, as those seeds germinate, as they use that oxygen, it's going to pull air out of this little tube to replace this air here. So this line here at X is going to go higher. It's going to rise. So if we look here at the options, X is definitely not going to fall because we're using oxygen. It's going to rise. And at Y, it's going to be completely unchanged. So our answer for this is D. Question 18. The diagram shows a section of a kidney. What are the correct labels? So this is actually just a case of labeling the diagram. So what do we have? X on the outside, making the C shape, is the cortex. Y on the inside is the medulla. And Z coming out from the kidney is a ureter. So X is the cortex, Y the medulla, Z the ureter. The answer that matches is A. Question 19. A boy accidentally touches a very hot object and immediately takes his hand away. Immediately. In this reflex action, what is the effector? So you've got to think back, okay? You've got all of these sort of loops of things that are going on in the nervous system. So you've got receptors, you've got effectors, you've got relays, okay? And where are things happening? Which is your effector? The effector is effective. It gets things done. So when we're talking about the effector, we're saying what made this movement happen? Okay, what made the hand away movement happen? Was it a heat receptor? No, it wasn't. Was it a motor neuron? The motor neuron told the effector to do the job. It did not do the job itself. A muscle in his arm, that would move his hand. The spinal cord? No. Okay, so definitely the effector, the thing that caused the movement, was the muscle in the arm. Our last question for today, question 20. Which description of how the pupil of the eye gets smaller is correct? So we've got the circular muscles and the radial muscles. So remember, if we look at the pupil of the eye, well, the iris, we've got muscles going round like this, okay? Those are your circular muscles. And you've got other muscles like this, radiating out. Those are your radial muscles. Now, in order to make this space here shorter, we need to make these radial muscles longer. So they would need to relax. Okay, and if we want to pull that space closed so that the pupil gets smaller, the circular muscles must contract. Remember, they are opposing muscles. So, circular contract, radial relax. The answer is B. So, in order to make the pupil of the eye smaller, we would need to contract the circular muscles and relax the radial muscles. They're a pair of antagonistic muscles.